Muslim children in Wilmington were removed from the pool for wearing clothing that covered their bodies on grounds that some of the clothing might have contained cotton. Pool manager removed the children, citing no cotton pool policy, which turned out to be false because the city of Wilmington does not have any official or written policy about specific type of clothing. Even if there was such a policy, how could a pool manager always ensure that the amount of cotton in the fabric can be measured? These children were asked to leave at multiple occasions, and at one of the occasions, a uniformed police officer also asked them about when they will be leaving. These actions were defended by the city's lower and middle level managements for several weeks until it all went viral and became international news, all thanks to Ms. Jedwell's bold reporting. At that point, Wilmington's mayor issued an apology. This incident is only a glimpse into what members of American minorities, including Muslim community, face on a regular basis, and discrimination can take several forms. My question to you is, what will you do to the policies and actions that are discriminatory or have the appearance of being discriminatory without having the need for higher level officials to intervene?
Thank you very much. Mr. Maloney, we'll start with you, and we'll go this way. Thank you.
I think as long as we're looking at the Department of Justice and say we're looking at our policies and procedures, I think what needs to happen is we have to look at them and make sure that we're doing things in a fair and in just manner. And the fact that we're not doing something that has inadvertently caused some type of discrimination. I think that it's incumbent for any Attorney General, whether it's in regards to racial discrimination or any other type of discrimination, to make sure that their Department of Justice sets the tone that we're doing everything we can in a fair and just manner, that we're treating everyone as we wish to be treated ourselves. That's the bottom line. The fact that when you look out upon the people and the citizens of Delaware, that you're treating them as you treat your own children or your own family member. And that's what's important. And that's what you have to make sure that if you find policies that don't do that, if you find policies that would make you cringe if they were done against your child or your relative, then that's wrong and you should move to fix it.
Thank you.
The Attorney General, as Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the state of Delaware, has an obligation to ensure that the system is fair and just. Sadly, over the years, it's not what we've seen. So with the new Attorney General coming into the office, this is our opportunity to set the tone. And I think once the new AG sets the tone and says that they're supportive of fairness and justice, and they feel a sense of obligation to serve the community and do it fairly and justly, then the rest of the community will follow suit. And that includes identifying policies that are discriminatory and changing policies, changing laws, creating new laws to the extent that it's necessary, and creating new policies to ensure fairness and justice. That's what I intend to do as Attorney General.
Mr. Johnson.
Thank you very much to the youth who are engaged and they're paying attention and they haven't nodded out yet. So thank you very much for participating, because they are the future, and a lot of policies to talk about them tonight will actually impact them the most. So it's very important that we keep our youth engaged. And just go back to defending Delawareans against discrimination. It does come down to trust. We must build trust with the community. Now I'm going to do something out there, but how many of you have actually met the Attorney General? Raise your hands. Not too many people. And that's just uncalled for. And so under my leadership, not only will you know the Attorney General, but you will know those who are under him. Because my job is to not be in the Carvel office building, to be out in the community, coming to the Masjid, going to the playground, playing basketball or soccer, or whatever I need to do to build the trust with the community. And that's really where it starts, because we all will fight against the policies, but it's really building the trust with the community so that I know what's going on. I know the practices of the pool prior to an incident even having to be reported by Christina Jedra. So that's what my office will do. So community engagement is the key. And that's actually how you fight discrimination, from just being there with the community.
Silence fosters discrimination. The Attorney General must be the spokesperson to ensure that discriminatory policies do not take place, the practices do not take place at all. And how do we do that? We do that by being on the front line to protect people against discrimination. And when we see discrimination, we must say something, and we must say it publicly when we see wrongs being done. Because silence just enables it to grow. Regular meetings with people of all beliefs, of all races, all backgrounds, with the Attorney General is also important, so that we are hearing from you what is going on. What is happening that makes your children worried and that worries you for the future of your children? I hear all the time that people are bullied in school. That is wrong. And it is up to the Attorney General to stand up and fight against that and to protect our children in school from being discriminated against and bullied. As the Attorney General, that would be a top priority of my office, to make sure that discriminatory practices and policies cannot coexist with the way we want to live in the state of Delaware.
Thank you. Last round, try to convince those people who are on the fence line.
In the audience, I would tell you that there are a lot of people who have very emotional situation with a number of issues, but if I were to narrow those down, they are about show of extreme strength from law enforcement, when they knock down doors. The other important emotional issue that I've received relates to pardons, expungements that you have already talked about. So in your closing statements, the 2 minutes each that you have, please focus on big ideas. How will you distinctly run the office in a way that makes Delaware safe, at the same time does not pit citizens versus law enforcement and brings people together?
I think we started with you in the beginning.
So let's end with you then. Mr. Maloney, go first, please. This is your last shot. 2 minutes.
We've talked about a lot of issues tonight, and very serious issues. And we need change, but change doesn't occur overnight. And no Attorney General is going to facilitate that change by himself. We need to communicate with our partners in the criminal justice arena, as well as our citizens and our business community across the board, and work together to effectuate change. Now, that being said, you have to change within before you start changing without. And I think that that's the most important part, that when the Attorney General comes in office, that he looks within the department about ways that he can fix the problems that he feels exist, and through training and other aspects. But let me, and I'm going to point out there are some differences between between the candidates, and I'll be more than happy to say them. I support the death penalty in limited situations, and where I'm talking about premeditated murder of a first responder or a correctional officer in a correctional facility during the commission of his duties, as well as acts of terrorism. I think that those attacks are on the very fabric of our well-being and our government, and that's why I support that. The other is I don't support the legalization of marijuana. I travel the country a lot, and I talk to law enforcement agencies, and there are problems with the legalization that aren't being transmitted because it's such a cash cow for some states. So those are two areas that there is a difference, I think, with me and my fellow candidates. The bottom line is I promise to communicate with the public and get your input of how I'm doing, how we're not doing, but also at the beginning of where are we going wrong, and make sure that within the Department of Justice, we're correcting those issues and those problems.
Mr. Denny.
Thank you.
There are not a lot of substantive differences among us, except the ones that Mr. Mullaney just mentioned. After all, we are all Democrats, and we are all good people, and we're looking for justice in the broadest sense of that word. What I believe separates me and why I am asking for your strong support to be the next Attorney General. I have never run for office before. I don't seek any other office. This is the office I want to run, because this is the time when we can make real change in the criminal justice system, where we can build trust in law enforcement and our communities. And how do you know I can make the changes to criminal justice that we've talked about? How do you know that I can bring about safer, fairer communities in Delaware? Because that's what I've been doing. When I see injustice, I change it. But my name has never been on the door, and only the Attorney General can lead the force for the change we need now. We need to change our laws. We need to change the practices of law enforcement. Knocking down doors, lock them up and throw away the key is gone. That is gone, and it needs to never come back. We need a strong Attorney General who has a proven track record of leading important criminal justice changes and of protecting our victims, protecting the rights of people, protecting their civil rights, their constitutional rights. I have spent my entire career in the cause of justice, as a prosecutor, as a defense attorney, and as a public advocate. I hope I can count on your support on September 6th. Please vote in the primary. Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, please.
Well, thank you very much for inviting us tonight. And in closing, I'm just going to say the number is 2251, which is a campaign that I've started, and is I believe what sets me apart. 22 is the percentage of African Americans in Delaware. 51% is the percentage of the prison population that African Americans consist of. And so it's a system that exists in Delaware for way too long. And I respect everyone at this table, but they have been complicit in building this system for decades. And I know they're all good people. They have a lot of experience. We all have a lot of experience. But silence was complicity in building this system. And so it really takes someone from the outside with no allegiances to the current stakeholders who will dismantle the system and really work to change what we have. And I know there's reasons their stuff wasn't done. The citizens who are incarcerated don't care. They are desperate. And so we need change. And I am that change because I know, and I have been involved in politics. And so I know how to move the needle with the governor, with city council, with whoever needs to be moved to get justice for our people. And I have been speaking out about racial injustice from day one. And I submit to you, look at January when the candidates did press releases. I was the only one talking about racial injustice and mass incarceration. And it's been a central focus of my campaign from day one. And I believe as campaigns go, stories and ideas change when they saw that mass incarceration was the hearts and minds of everyone in Delaware. So that's why I believe I'm the best choice, because you have to trust that the person you elect will do what they say they're going to do. And I've been working on justice reform for a long time. Before even running on the campaign trail, I've been working with community members. And that's the best experience as a community organizer that I bring to the table, that I have not only the experience in government, but the experience as a community organizer. And that's why I ask for your support on September 6th. Thank you.
I left my job in January of this year to run for Attorney General. And to tell you the truth, my circumstances wouldn't necessarily be considered ideal. I was about 6 months pregnant when I left my job. And to tell you the truth, I was really nervous. Because I had worked hard at the Department of Justice to work my way up the ranks. And I had to dig deep and decide, do I have something to offer to our community that's worth me taking this huge risk? It was a risk for myself, professionally, it was a risk for my family. But when I thought about my son who I was carrying, and I thought about my 7-year-old daughter, I felt a sense of urgency about leaving. The reality is, it doesn't matter whether you're a first-time political candidate. We're all first-time political candidates. The question becomes, do you have the political will to change how things have been done in Delaware for years? The criminal justice system is broken. It's been broken for decades. Any progress that's claimed at this point has been minimal. It hasn't happened fast enough. Right now, we're having all the right conversations about reforming our criminal justice system, our prison system, about protecting Delawareans from the Trump administration. These are real issues. We don't have another 30 years to fix it. We don't. I'm asking you for your vote. I'm asking you for your support, because I am in this to change the state of Delaware for everyone. I'm not beholden to anyone. I'm not attached to old practices. What I come to you is with a good balance of experience and passion about people. When I left my job, I didn't even have my platform done. You know why? Because I needed to get in the community and talk to people and understand what their concerns were. And I took my time and I listened and I crafted a platform that I'm really proud of, because it's about the people of the state of Delaware. It's not about me. It's about helping, well, it's about me a little bit. It's about helping me and my kids, but it's about you and your kids too. As a community, we have to be strong and we have to work together. So I'm asking for your vote on September 6th, because we have to be together as a community to change our criminal justice system for the better. Thank you.
Thank you very much once again. Before I ask Mashhur to come for the closing remarks, I would like to remind you that the audience job starts now. We need your feedback. We need to know, after listening to this debate, which candidates you are inclined to support more than the others, and why. And this is how we want this feedback. We want you to send us a text message. Text message can be sent to that number right there on that banner at the bottom, 302-533-8004. Let us know which candidates you're inclined to support more and why. And we will stay tuned. We will have a few more debates coming in for other races across the state and local in our jurisdiction. So please stay in touch. Brother Mashhur.
Again, good evening, and I couldn't help myself while I'm sitting there watching and listening to all four of you to think about something really important. As an immigrant, I really value the process of choosing our political leaders in general. I want to remind everyone in the audience, whether you're an immigrant or were born here, this is an opportunity that don't let it pass you by like it is. Don't take it lightly. So many people have died across the whole world. To have an opportunity to ask a question to a candidate, or maybe sit there and choose one freely. So having said that, I wanted to thank every one of you guys. Thank you for your commitment to serve us as citizens. And thank you for coming here to speaking to us and taking the time to answer all of our questions. For that, I appreciate it on behalf of all the Muslim community in Delaware. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for working hard to provide the justice that we desperately need. Thanks again. We'd like to invite you for the food. thank you for David and his team to provide the venue for us to have this great debate. You all are great people. You are truly making it hard for us to choose.